This one popped up out of nowhere on me, and I'm glad it did because it looks awesome. Definitely looks inspired by classic MechWarrior, simulation heavy and all, but it's got this real clean, low-poly graphics set that made my first viewing of the trailer feel like I'd just struck oil. While the game is listed as being developed by a studio under the name APOC, something interesting to me is that its publisher is Microprose. I didn't even realize these guys were still around after all the different buyouts, mergers, bankruptcies, and I guess the 2019 revival? Anyways, they're an old bunch, and they've had their hands in tons of great games over the years. Notably, since this is a mech channel, I'll point at Mech Commander and MechWarrior 3, but I should also note things like XCOM and the greatest of all times, like Sid Meier's Pirates or Roller Coaster Tycoon. This one is slated for a release in April of 2026 and seems to be a solely indie-developed project by Sage Boatman. It's currently got a demo up and running on Steam if you want to give this Unreal Engine-built mecha game a whirl. Essentially, it's planned to be a third-person shooter with moment-to-moment gameplay inspired by Armored Core 6, a roguelike gameplay loop, that of Risk of Rain, and a loot-based upgrade and customization system with thousands of parts inspired by Borderlands. While I haven't managed to have the time to dig into the demo personally, I can definitely tell this one looks like a promising experience just based on how satisfying the movement appears in the trailer. Definitely looking forward to the spring with this one right here. One question to answer it all. Do you miss Titanfall 2? Imagine that, as an online multiplayer movement shooter with parkour, and grappling hooks and mechs and fully destructible environments. 16 players battle it out in this vibrant low-poly world, and if you just can't wait until Q3 of 2026 to play this Tetris Studios original, I'll let you in on a secret. You can play the open alpha test on Steam right now. Before we get any further, hi, I'm Empty, I like big piloted robots, and I make videos about their games. This video is a compilation of trailers for upcoming games, but typically I do full-on reviews as well as offering up my general commentary and insights into various aspects of mecha-themed games. If you'd like to keep up with my videos, go ahead and do the like, comment, and sub thing, as that's always appreciated. Thanks, now we'll get back to the games. Hardkill System self-describes as a hardcore top-down twin-stick shooter with fully simulated projectiles to denote details like hit angles causing differences. It's a solo project estimated to release sometime in 2026 by Yevhen Bodrinko. Initially, the trailer reminded me of Brigador, but the inspirations mentioned by the man himself seem to be more from MechWarrior, the first Helldivers game, Terminator, and The Matrix. Granted, I'm really interested after learning about its systems like the in-depth ballistics, armor, weight, and even temperature simulation. I will say the hook by itself, the machine has won, resistance needs you, you are a brain inside a hardkill system, was enough to have me hitting that request access to playtest button that's currently up on Steam right now. This Night Division game's first-person shooter title is set to release sometime this year. While it definitely appears to share some common ground with the gameplay stylings of MechWarrior, with a variable loadout in the form of things like scrap weapons, hull upgrades, fuel management systems, and weapon heat controls, what sets this one apart for me is that it also gives me the vibe of a survival horror title. Maybe just a little. There's something captivating about the more understated side of this tense scavenging gameplay. Combine that with the desolate deserts and abandoned rusty factory environments presented, and maybe, just maybe, this one is just a little bit creepy. The newest Chaos Galaxy Studio project by Hanzi Yu. I played the first in the series, which was called Chaos Sector, late last year, but I still need to hit up the other two Chaos Galaxy titles before Chaos Front. This is a series of retro nostalgia, heavy turn-based tactics RPGs, sorta like a Super Nintendo version of Super Robot Wars or Romance of the Three Kingdoms. While the first game I played, Chaos Sector, was relatively simple, it seems each iteration builds heavily on the groundwork of what was put in the past, growing its roster of characters, planets, missions, battles, spaceships, mech suits, etc. Chaos Front is listed as having more than 100 characters, 100 different units to choose from, and much, much more. I believe in the earlier titles, your player choice revolves around factions, while here it would seem we're getting the full-on mercenary treatment. Very cool. If you've ever wondered what it would be like if the Napoleonic Wars had the power of armored mechanized war suits, look no further than Mechs and Muskets. This one is a tactical turn-based war game where you take control of a Frenchman during the early 1800s. It boasts some nice pixel art graphics, mechs with upgrades and different equipable parts, unique abilities, and a dynamic story campaign. It's set a release date for sometime 2026 and is being crafted by Belmira Studio. Let's get back into a competitive space with the second game from RJ Arcade, Mecha Simultactics. Their first was a competitive split-screen shoot-'em-up called Rival Megagun, but what's upcoming is a player-versus-player anime-inspired game with quick simulation turns. That means everybody's turn happens at the same time, and given this game plans to support up to 8 players at a time, we might be in for some crazy and chaotic fun here. It's also coming with customizable mechs with their own playstyles and abilities, and even a map editor. Very interested to see how this one plays, as I'm rather interested in these quick action-feeling turns. Polylab Studio is bringing 100% environmental demolition with Iron Dawn. 25 mechs, 40 weapons, 20 different pilots bundled up in a world destined to be completely blown apart. This sort of reminds me of the old Rampage series in a way, you know, the one where you play as a big monster punching through skyscrapers, except here you're leading the Ghost Squad mech group. Judging from the trailers I've seen on this one, I really quite like how the graphics have a sort of dimensional effect on them, kind of like playing a 3DS game with the 3D turned on. The buildings feel like they're about to pop out of the screen, which probably makes them way cooler when they explode. Saving the weird and strange for last, we have the Hog Fixer. The plot here is that you're an imprisoned pigman, forced to serve out your sentence in a garage fixing giant robots called Colossi for the Warden. Of course, as a prisoner, your working conditions are unkempt, and you're personal protective equipment is likely broken, as OSHA doesn't care about hogs. This one looks like it's equally parts humorous and silly and also weirdly creepy, like that sort of 90s gross-out cartoon that was popular. I love the concept here, and I think the mech genre in general could really use more games centered around the whole garage mechanics simulator aspect, so I've been keeping an eye on this one since I first saw an internet post by its creator, Charles Sorkin. That's all we've got today. Hopefully you discovered at least one new game that looks promising enough to pique your interest. If there's any mech content on the near horizon you think I missed, go ahead and drop it in the comments, as me and our community here would love to make sure it's on our radar. Thanks.